Okay, this is just a quick little reminder on how to add and subtract integers. But like I said, it's more like the key word is combining integers. You have to know, are you combining a negative and a positive, or are you combining a negative and a negative? Or, like we've been doing for several years, is combining a positive with a positive. So if you're combining a positive and a negative, you go ahead and subtract the numbers, and then the sign of whichever number is bigger, you keep that sign. If you're combining two negatives, you're adding the numbers together, and then it stays negative. If you are combining two positives, just like we've done for years when you were in kindergarten, combining two positives, you add it together, and then it stays positive. The only thing, the hard part is this one right here. Sorry about that. So if you have a negative and a positive that you are combining, and combining just means basically adding, you're going to have to subtract those two numbers, and then the sign of the bigger number takes over. So sign of bigger will take over. Sorry about that. All right, so let's take a look right here. Right here we have a -2 and a +4. What we're not doing is we're not looking at this as like an addition sign. We're not looking at this as a subtraction sign. These signs, these plus and subtraction signs, are more like that's a +4 and that's a -9. So that's one of the first things you need to understand, is you can't really look at this as a -6 minus 5 anymore. Look at it more as a -6 getting combined with a -5. It does not matter if this negative is a smaller or shorter negative and this one's a longer one. It's still like here, I'm combining a -6 and a -5. So that's this one right here. When I'm combining two negatives, I add the numbers, and that will give me 11, and then I keep it negative. Once again, like I said, don't look at this as really like a -6 plus 8. This is a -6 getting combined with a +8. And when you're combining a positive and a negative, you go ahead and subtract the numbers, which means I'm subtracting 8 and 6, or 6 and 8, I'm going to get a 2. And then which number is bigger? Is the 8 is bigger, and it's a +8, so my answer is just 2. All right. Let's take a look at these two right here. Remember, don't look at this as 1 minus 6. Look at this as this is a +1 and this is a -6. And remember, when you're combining a positive and a negative, you go ahead and subtract the numbers. So we subtract them, that gives me a 5. And which number is the bigger number, which is kind of like 6 is the bigger one if you ignore the negative. And since 6 is negative, we keep it negative. So the answer is -5. All right. Let's do another one like that. Look at this one right here. What I have here is a +5 and a -9 getting combined. So once again, look at your rules. A positive and a negative getting combined, you go ahead and subtract. Subtract the numbers, 9 minus 5, which is 4. However, the 9 is bigger and the 9 is negative, so you have a -4. Let's look at this one. This rule is different because what I have here is I have a -3 and a -8. And when you're combining two negatives, you go ahead and add them and keep it negative. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, so that would be a -11. Okay, let's look at this one right here. Here we have a -9 and a +3. And when you're combining a negative and a positive, we're going to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of technically the bigger one. So go ahead and subtract 9 and 3. 9 and 3, we subtracted, we get a 6. Because remember, I said this plus sign does not mean to add anymore. This is just telling me that my 3 is positive, and this sign right here tells me that my 9 is negative. And since the 9 is kind of like the bigger number and it's negative, I keep the negative sign because the 9 was bigger. I'm going to finish this top part. If you want to, pause the video and see if you can do these three yourself. If you want to, pause the video, see if you can do these three yourself, and then you can check your answers by unpausing the video, of course. I'm going to go ahead and do these. So this is a -2 and a +4. That leads me to this rule. We have a negative and a positive we're combining. We go ahead and subtract. That gives me a 2. And it stays positive because the bigger number by itself is positive. These two right here, I have a -2 and a -9. Now I have two negatives I'm combining. So I'm going to add and keep it negative. Here I have a -6 and a +6. Remember, when you have a negative and a positive you're combining, you subtract. This rule is only for adding and subtracting. So I have a negative and a positive, I subtract, I just get 0. And 0 is 0, people. 0 is 0. So hopefully you got those right. And then you can move on. Let's move on to this side right here. Just these. Try these 3. Pause the video again, see if you can do these 3 yourself. And I'm going to go over them. So I got a -4 and a +4. Well, there's two different signs, so subtract, I just get 0. You don't have to name it positive or negative because it's just 0. Here I have a +6 and a +4. This is old school. Don't let a problem like this trick you. This is 6 plus 4. Somebody in kindergarten can hopefully tell you that's just 10. No tricks. 6 plus 4. All right, here's some of the new stuff right here. I have a +4 and a -9. I have two different signs, right? I got a positive and a negative. So I'm adding a positive and a negative, or keyword combining a positive and a negative. That means I need to subtract the numbers. That gives me a 5. And since my 9 is technically the bigger one, I'm going to keep it negative because the 9 is negative. And this one, once again, +9, +2. Just combine the two positives like as if you were in kindergarten and you had no other knowledge about negatives. And that gives me an 11. All right? So that was just a little review of what we did this week. If you need to see a different technique, you can continue watching the video. If not, then you can probably try the quizzes. And the quizzes link should have been sent to you by now, hopefully. I'm going to show you a different technique on how to do these. If you still don't quite understand these type of rules, there is another way you can learn how to do these types of integers. Let me just grab a sheet of paper. Okay. So this way kind of breaks it down more to people that are visual and they kind of need to see what's happening to the numbers. So basically, I know a long time ago, everybody knows what a number line is. You've seen a number line. You kind of have to look at it on a number line point of view. Maybe this can help you, okay? So if you're doing a problem like this and you don't really understand how I taught the rules up here, then what you would kind of need to do is use a number line. Like you kind of use it way back in the day. This is the number that you start at. So I'm going to start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to mark my 5 there. And then this tells me to subtract 6. So yes, I'm going to look at this as a subtraction. Subtracting is always moving to the left. The left is subtract. All right. So I started at 5, right? And then I need to subtract 6. So from here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this is my answer right here. I just got to figure out where this is. And this is at -1. So the answer is -1. Let's try that again with this one. This one, notice it has a plus sign in the middle. So I'm starting at so let's go to the negative. That's -1, -2, -3, -4. This time I'm starting. This is my starting number, and then this tells me which way to move on the number line. Since there's an addition sign, that means I'm going to move to the right. So I'm starting at the -4, and it tells me to move to the right 3. So from the -4, I jump 1, 2, 3. And what do I hit? I hit the -1. So that's my answer, -1. Let's try it with, actually I'm going to try it with this one, but since I see my numbers are kind of big, I need to draw some more parts of my number line here. So I'm going to be starting with a -9, which means I need to find where -9 is on my number line. So this is 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. So here's -9. This is where I'm starting. I'm starting my little bubble right here. Then it tells me to subtract 5. Remember, subtract means move to the left. So I'm going to, from this point, I'm going to jump 5 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is my answer, but I need to figure out what that is. So this is -9, that's -10, -11, -12, -13, that's -14, and that's my answer, -14. This is just another way to do these. 8 plus 6, please don't let this fool you. This is 8 plus 6, like somebody in first grade, somebody in kindergarten can do. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that's 14. All right. Now let's look at this one. This one might confuse you because it has a negative in it. So let's start. We always start at this first number, that's -2. So let's go to the -2, which is right here. So we're going to start here at -2. Then it tells us to add 5. Remember, adding means jump to the right. So from the -2, we're going to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got to figure out what number this is. And if this is 0, this is 1, 2, 3. So my answer for this one is 3. Like I said, this is just another technique to doing them. This is how I learned to do them. When I was in algebra, this didn't really make sense to me, but I could see it, and it was more understandable if I saw like the jumping of the numbers. So it was a lot easier to work with for me. I'm going to do a couple more examples on here. So this one is start at the -9. So we start here, and then it tells us -2. Subtracting is to the left. So I'm going to jump 2 spaces to the left and see what this number is. I want to put my finger there. If this is -9, that's -10, that's -11, so the answer is -11. So I didn't want this video to be too long, but if you need to see more examples, please keep watching. This one here, I'm going to start at the 6. I'm going to change my color. I'm starting at the 6, which means I'm starting over here because here's 6. And then it tells me to subtract 7. Remember, subtract means to move to the left. So from here, I'm going to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and look at my answer. My answer is -1. So for some people, the number line is a lot easier for them to do. If you're still having troubles with it, then please make sure you message me or ask questions next time we Zoom. Have a good day.